Welcome back, everybody. It's none other than your man, the incredible T.O.P, and this is another episode of the Top Cast. I'm here with my man, Briyan Wryter, of course, to review Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode number 4, called The Whole World is Watching. Welcome back, Brian. Thanks again for joining me. All you folks, you can link up with Brian. His social media is in the video description below, along with mine. What's going on, bro? Welcome back to the show.
What's good with you, man?
Hey, man, I was just thinking, wow, I wish I would have we would have reviewed this when Falcon and the Winter Soldier was actually happening, because it's hard to imagine that it's been almost 2 months since the series has concluded. And I'm wondering, where did that time go? Do the time variance authority rule our lives too, bro? I just want to know. 3 space lizards? I mean, come on. How about yourself, though?
Doing good, man. I'm doing all right. Ready to chop it up about this episode 4.
Good. In episode 4, the episode starts out in none other than the fictional African place of Wakanda. And we all know that at the end of Endgame, or, at the end of Civil War, Bucky was taken to Wakanda. And in this opening scene, he's with none other than Ayo. I love that motherfucker. Oh, shit. Whew. Where's she at? I gotta find her. But anyway, I have my other thoughts on that, but we'll get to that. But the opening scene is we traveling back to Wakanda, and we actually going through the process in which Bucky is quote unquote deprogrammed. So that little red book with the black star and those 17 words no longer work on him anymore. Like we saw when he went to jailbreak Zemo. In that particular scene, I always, keep history in context of the things that I'm doing in my personal life. And I have a tendency to look at things at times through a historical lens. And what immediately jumped out from here to me is right in line with a book called Daughters of the Trade. And what I mean by that is you see a black woman in Africa helping white men. And I know a lot of people are probably overlook that. A lot of folks just watch these types of media for purely for entertainment purposes, but it's not called television programming, etc. for anything. It's not just haphazardly given that kind of a title. And a lot of folks don't understand that a lot of ideas that we have in our own heads are communicated to us through movies and TV and audio and other forms of media. But that was just something that jumped out at me immediately. And I was very interested to know what the Wakandans actually did, because they didn't really get into depth of how they actually reprogrammed him. But they did open with that scene showing Ayo repeating the words to activate the Winter Soldier, and they not working. And Bucky he had a scent moment. He was crying there for a minute. You don't cry in front of women, Bucky. You're a super soldier. Anyway, what what did you think about that, Brian?
I thought it was cool, man. Like, I always love to see Wakanda and Wakandans. Always, I thought it was I mean, as far as Africa has historically always been an underrated but huge resource for healing that people tend to go to. So it was cool to see Wakanda used as not only a place of, I mean, for refuge, but for to help Bucky really brainwash himself. Wash his brain for real of the the altering, the mind altering things that the Hydra did to him.
Indeed. See, that's why I'm glad that we do these videos together, because you pick out things that I miss. So that is very true. A lot of medical technology comes out of Africa. A lot of folks just don't know it. Yeah. But immediately after that, we flash back to when Zemo, Bucky, and Sam was on the way to Zemo's safe house, and I.O. dropped the beads and met him in the alley. We go back to that scene because the reason why I get the idea that Bucky and A.O. had some kind of a, maybe a little more of an intimate relationship while he was there in Wakanda. What do you think about that? I mean, she seems to be his liaison, his contact.
Yeah, and I mean, she because you got the way I look at it is that she's not supposed to be there. They don't let outsiders come in. If they do now, it's very strict. And because of who he is, a trained, brain bent assassin. It's only right that a person from the Dora Milaje is only dealing with him and not someone, from civilian status. As far as the intimate angle, I don't want to even play around. No, I don't say that. I don't want to say that it's I don't think it's sexual. Or like a love interest type of thing, or anything like that, a crush type of thing. But I do believe it is intimate in the sense that, that's like a patient, like a patient therapist type of relationship. It seems like.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
That's level of intimacy that I will call it.
Okay.
Doctor versus patient type of situation with him, because she helped him, fix his mind. Okay,
that makes sense. Again, that's why I'm glad that I have you here, because you give me a different perspective. Immediately after that, we go back to Zemo and Sam and Bucky after after Bucky's had his conversation with A.O., because A.O. was there because they are after Zemo also, because Zemo killed King T'Chaka in Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. So they're after Zemo the same way they were after Ulysses Claw, to bring him to Wakandan justice. And if I'm not mistaken, and I recall correctly, I think A.O. said to Bucky that you got about 8 hours to do what you're going to do with this guy, and then we coming to take him. Win, lose, or draw. We don't give a damn what you talking about. And then we go, the next scene we go into is Bucky, Sam, and Zemo in the safe house. And they're setting up to have a meeting or not have a meeting, but, get in proximity of Miss Carly Morgenthau. Because in this episode is when we found out that, her mother, her quote unquote mother, Mama Danya, actually died. And this is what I was talking about when we did the review of episode 1. And I was mentioning that they gutted the story, because when I seen this, it was very out of place, because I didn't even know who this lady was. Mm-hmm. It didn't say that she, passed away from a pandemic. I think the term that they used was tuberculosis.
Okay.
And you didn't even really have a backstory for her. Mm-hmm. So it was no way to ingratiate her to the viewer. That's what, kind of threw the continuity of this entire series off for me somewhat. But during this exchange, after they've decided that they're gonna go, and Sam is the one who's decided that he's gonna end up talking to her. But on their way there, they actually run into none other than the other dynamic duo in the series, John Walker and Battlestar. And they all have an exchange about how they're going to proceed, from that point forward in interacting with Miss Morgenthau. And one thing that really, really stood out to me is how much out of all of them, the Black folks seem to have more humanity. And what I mean by that is John Walker just wanted to run up in there because he didn't remember the Flag Smashers just blew up a building. So, his attitude is kind of understandable and kind of justified. But what I noticed is that it was in complete opposition to what Sam Wilson was saying, to what Bucky and Battlestar also were co-signing. And that is, let's not go up in there like ruffians and go in there diplomatically and try to handle the situation that way. And why it was so obvious to me is because in real life that we have a tendency to see, white folks acting like John Walker and Black folks acting like Sam Wilson. Mm-hmm. We want to be reasonable, even though we know that these folks are bad people and have done, or at least have done bad things. Well, white folks be ready to just blow you up. like when they dropped the bombs on Japan in World War II.
Hiroshima, yup.
What do you think about that? How did you see that play out?
Yeah, let me. I'm trying not to be too long-winded with this. Let me rewind back to when Zemo, Bucky, and Falcon were talking in that hotel or whatever they were staying at, and Zemo was explaining to Falcon, with Sam Wilson, that well, let me say this, he had an interesting insight and a respectable insight, being he worked with Hydra to a degree. On the correlation and desire to become superhuman with being a supremacist.
Yeah, I remember that conversation that they were having on the airplane.
Yeah,
but please continue.
Yeah. So in that room, they was talking about he was saying anyone who's on that journey of even wanting to become a superhuman, enhanced, whatever, is on the same path of being supremacist in its perspective. And it seems like he's the kind of person who and I remember even on the plane, like you said, there's only one Captain America. The only, I mean, in general, when someone gets that kind of power, it corrupts. And only one that seems to haven't really corrupted really is Captain America, in his own opinion. I'm just generalizing what he was saying. Mm-hmm. So to tie that in with John Walker, Lamar Hoskins, and Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, in that exchange when they were deciding on how they were going to approach Carly Morgenthau. Yeah, particular people do have a certain extreme perspective. They've seen black or white. They have a very black and white linear thinking on things. While it seems like certain black people, or just certain people with a high level of melanin, operate in the gray areas. They can see the gray areas. They can relate. They have empathy for people.
Very good word. Very good word. Empathy.
They have empathy for people who are trying to liberate you know what I mean, are wrong people.
Trying just out for justice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go, for justice. You know, so I think, you know what I mean, that's why Lamar Hoskins and Sam Wilson can relate, and they were, you know what I mean, and you saw Lamar Hoskins, you know what I mean, like agreeing more so with Sam Wilson and Bucky on how to approach Carly Morgenthau, rather than just doing some more, rather than seeing her as just a straight terrorist and just go ahead and arrest her and label her somebody evil. You know what I'm saying? They could see and understand her motives and see her as a human being rather than just a thing, a terrorist, or, you know, I mean, I'm just an evil person. You know, so that whole supremacist thing, and the power thing, and in particular people who have power historically in this country, they tend to be less empathetic when people are trying to gain justice for the powers, for people that were wronged by the powers that be, the powers that be.
I agree. And you know, I actually uh went past that part just with the hopes that you was going to bring it up, and you did, and I appreciate you for it, because that was really a very important moment in this episode, in the series. Because for me, when Zemo mentioned that anybody who seeks to be a super soldier is essentially a supremacist, my immediate thought was, well, damn, in the Marvel universe, most of the enhanced individuals are white people. So what are you really trying to say here, Zemo? You know, are you low-key trying to say that whites are white supremacists? Are they super souls? Are they super people? You know? But that's what I got from it immediately. But, you know, my mind, it works in a different way, you know, than what most people's minds do, I imagine. But then I'm glad that the world is not full of people who think like me, because we'd all be in trouble with each other. But anyway, so we got Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and Zemo looking for Carly Morgenthau, and initially they are unable to find her. And the next thing that happens, and it really stuck out to me because it kind of looked like pedophilia. And that's where Zemo was giving bribing a little kid with Turkish Delight candies, which I never had before. If anybody knows, are they any good? I would probably like to try them if they are. But they look good. But I heard they were terrible. But the scene stuck out to me, you know, kind of like on some pedophile type shit, because here you got a grown man bribing little kids for information with candy. And it just shows how susceptible children are to people who are more knowledgeable than they are. How easily they could be manipulated. And another reason why that stuck out to me is because I pay attention to these human trafficking events and cases and episodes. So immediately it said to me, oh, wow. In my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder if Marvel is trying to say something about that indirectly. Or what are they trying to say with this scene? Because I'm pretty sure they could have shot it another way. And maybe they had, in fact, shot that scene in several different ways, and that's just the one they decided to go with. But I was very, very curious about that. Did you have any thoughts in regard to that?
No,
Did it strike any chords with you?
I mean, I noticed it. You know, that's a real sensitive topic. You know, that's a real. It's so sensitive because it's really disgusting. You know, so but yeah, it crossed my mind. Like, I mean, like anytime I see something like that, like anytime an adult a stranger dog approaches a child, I always notice that. I'm always thinking about, what I mean, that thought always comes across my mind. But I didn't think about. But what you said was a good point. I don't know. I mean, this seems kind of creepy. You know what I'm saying? But that's really about it.
Yeah, I would describe it the same way. It did kind of seem a little creepy to me. I was like, It couldn't have been a bunch of little black kids. They'd have beat them up and robbed them. Tied them up. No, I'm just joking. That's a trope, folks. You look up the word TROPE, trope. Something that you believe about somebody that's not necessarily true, but it's said so often that people think it is true. Another thing I noticed in this particular part of the episode is that while Zemo was bribing the children with Turkish delights, I don't recall where Bucky was, but I recall Sam trying to get information from the people there. And what really stood out to me was how unified those folks were, because they would not give him any information. And I think personally, as Black people, if we began to operate like that with outside groups, we would make our position on this planet a lot better. That's what I learned from that part of this episode. Did you happen to see the same thing? Or because this is not the first time that I noticed this. Remember when John Walker and Battlestar broke up in the other guy's place and he spit in his face? He wouldn't talk either. So what I'm saying is that what I'm noticing is that the common folks seem to be sticking together against the quote unquote powers that be, in the form of Bucky and Sam and John Walker, and more so towards John Walker and Battlestar.
Yeah, man. That's always a source of power. Having a code in the system that everyone follows. If you're not part of this group, if you're not okayed by someone in this group that we can talk to, then all you're getting is the cold shoulder. And you're right. That definitely is is the behavior that Black people should adopt on a large scale.
I would say that those folks were on code. That's what I would say.
Yep. That codified, language. Like, for example, when the one guy did talk to Sam Wilson, he said, "We're not refugees." If I'm not incorrect, he said, "We're not refugees. We're I can't remember that. I can't remember exact word or whatever, but he corrected his language as far as what Sam Wilson called him.
Mm-hmm. You know what I find interesting about what you just said is I remember the same thing happening during Hurricane Katrina, when the folks who were trying to get out of New Orleans because the city was flooding were called looters. They weren't called refugees. And I always try to stress to people the importance and the power of words, how you put them together, and the effect that it has. Because just calling, if somebody's running away from floodwater, to call them a looter as opposed to a refugee would give you an entirely different view of who that person is, or who you would be dealing with if you were to deal with that person. That's the power of words. And I don't think that a lot of people really, really on a fundamental level understand how words actually control your thinking.
Oh, yeah. I don't think so either.
So I just wanted to make that point because right after this, Zemo got some inside information from the little girl. He found out where Carly Morgenthau was gonna be, and then we flash back to or not flash back, but flash forward to Zemo, Bucky, and Sam back in the safe house, and Sam reaches out for some assistance from none other than the homegirl, aka who we come to know as the power broker, Sharon Carter. I found this to be another interesting point in the video, and not the video, but in this episode. And this is what let me know early on that Sharon Carter had to be the power broker. Like, who the fuck has a satellite? It's like, yo, I need some information. I'm right here. I'm looking at it on the satellite. You what? Yeah. What was your thoughts on them? That outside of we know them having a relationship from Civil War. What is your thoughts at this point in the series in regard to how critical or pivotal it was to find out that Sharon Carter was in fact the power broker? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Like I mean, I think with me, like I've been so conditioned to see that white people, man, always have powerful connections. You know what I'm saying? And can damn near do anything on TV. It's just something I overlook, man. But I will say, it seems like anytime you got people that seem to know so much about something or someone, they tend to be involved at some point. They tend to be playing both sides or something. So that's really about it, man. As far as her, we find out she's a power broker. Like I don't really think they unveiled it until maybe like the fifth or sixth episode. But yeah, man. But like I said, it seems like anytime they have someone who knows so much and can get in contact or knows where the whereabouts somebody is or the inner workings of something, that person is involved or playing both sides.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get into that when we go cover episode number 5 and 6, which is the last two episodes we go do on this series. Yeah, I really don't want to go into it now because I was very disappointed at how the power broker thing played out. I think I would have got more out of it if they would have kept that as a mystery. But then I don't know how, things are going to play out from this point in regards to, Sharon Carter and, AKA the power broker. But I really wanted it to be somebody else. That's what I'm saying. And not because she's a woman, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing wrong with women having power, even though they all are a little crazy, a little cray-cray. But for me as a Marvel fan, I just it just didn't feel right to me that Sharon Carter ended up being a power broker. I would have got a lot more out of it if it would have been a whole new character.
Yeah.
Or like how what was his name? Alexander, the head of Hydra from that we found out from Civil War. Not Civil War, but Winter Soldier. The guy who was the head of Hydra. Robert Redford. That guy's character.
Are you talking about Red Skull? I can't.
No. don't worry about it. But what I'm trying to say is I would have been more hooked into the series at this point in regards to the power broker if they would have kept the power broker, kept you guessing about who the power broker is.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were to reveal to us eventually who the power broker is, like they did, that it would have been somebody who would have been like way, way deep cover, who we would have been exposed to all this time, but we had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like how they are playing the Madam Hydra character off on us, the Contessa, you know, kind of like how they doing like her. Like if somebody like her that we were already familiar with was actually the power broker and been pulling the strings all this time, that I would have really got like super hype. Like I would have got childish and shit. But after this, we find out, or they go back to the Flag Smashers after Sam's and Sharon's exchange. You know, they still over there in the safe house. But they flash forward to the some news and the Flag Smashers, and this is when we find out that where the super soldier serum is hidden, because Carly Morgenthau goes to retrieve it. I think she's going to bribe or make more super soldiers on the Flag Smasher side, if I'm not mistaken. And this is when this is a cemetery scene, if you recall, when she goes to retrieve the super soldier serum, which is what the storyline seems to revolve around. Like I said, I was told that the story had pretty much been gutted, and then we actually witnessed the past, not her actually dying, but like, you know, her wake, the Mama Danya character. And this is the part for me where, you know, the continuity in the story was kind of thrown off here momentarily, because we didn't really have much of a backstory for the Mama Danya character, you know, and how important she was, because she obviously had to be important to have all these people, you know, from who survived the blip to be celebrating and remembering her. Was there anything from this particular part of the episode that stood out to you? Because right after this is after the super soldier serum is retrieved, is when John Walker and Battlestar actually catch up with Zemo, Bucky, and Sam as they are going to the spot to meet with Carly that Zemo found out from the little girl, which is, you know, where the wake was, or, you know, the funeral service is going to be held. Did you have any particular, you know, thoughts as to what transpired during this part of the episode?
Nah, man, I don't have anything.
Oh wow, okay. Um, for me, what stood out for me in this part of the episode is, like I was saying earlier, Bucky, Sam, Bucky, and Battlestar seem to be very reasonable or level-headed or diplomatic about what they were going to do, as opposed to John Walker, who just really wanted to run up in there. Because if I recall, by this point, they the Flag Smashers had blown up a GSF building in the prior episode, the one that they were casing out.
Yeah.
And so I can understand John Walker's, you know, insistence on wanting to go and bring these folks to justice. But like you was mentioning, and you pointed out that Sam Wilson thought that, you know, that was not a good idea, and that because of the situation, that being someone's death that's close to her, she's receptive, or will be more receptive to diplomacy as opposed to violence. And why that stuck out to me is because that actually works in the real world with people. So when people are in a highly emotional state, they are more susceptible to being reasoned with. And, and when I say a highly emotional state, I don't mean like angry, or aggressive, but I mean like, saddened and grieving and reflective. They're more open, to being reasoned with. And I thought that was important because that's a life hack. That's a way that you actually can deal with folks in your real life. So that to say, if you really want to say something to somebody that you think is very important, a very good time to make such a suggestion is when they are in a heightened emotional state, like Carly was portrayed to be in, with the death of Mama Danya. Did you happen to notice that?
Well, yeah, man. Just to add on to what I said earlier about Sam Wilson having empathy. I remember even Zemo even told Sam Wilson, he told him something like, what you think you see in her is not there. John Walker, Zemo, in correlation to America on how they deal with people, like Crawley Morgenthau. They lack empathy. They don't want to understand. They believe they're right, and they believe everyone who goes against them is incorrect and needs to be brought to justice and needs to be subdued. So Sam Wilsons of the world, the Lamar Hoskins of the world are necessary. You know what I mean? And yeah, reasoning goes a whole lot further to me. With humanity, it's real easy just to go in. To me, it's not easy, but it's a whole lot simpler and insensitive to just go in and just bum rush someone or something and handle them how you want to handle them without any kind of sympathy or without any kind of understanding. But that just creates more opposition.
I would say chaos also.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we finally get to the part where Sam and Carly are actually having a conversation. And what we come to find is that she is indeed receptive to his conversation. And what stood out to me about the conversation, it seems that in a way that what the flag smashers represent is not very different from how Black people as a group in America particularly, it's almost like the flag smashers are modeled after us and our experience, where we want justice, and to quote Malcolm X, by any means necessary, we have to be willing to do certain things in order to impress that message upon those who seek to oppress us. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't just mirror us as Black folks, but any people who have been oppressed. And what was very poignant about the conversation is Sam, again, being empathetic and sympathetic, being able to understand the rationale for what the flag smashers were doing, though he did not agree with their methods, their methodology. I thought that was a very important part of not just this episode, but the series. And what did you think about Sam and Carly's conversation?
I mean, I believe it was a good conversation to have. I mean, I appreciate how it was. It was all illustrated. I do remember at one point Carly said these people only understand violence, and I'm glad that was stated by her because I believe that's very true with a lot of the people that's in power in real life. They tend to really only understand power or violence, But yeah, but I thought it was a cool conversation, man. It was a sensible one, and I think that like I said, like I keep saying it that Marvel does they do a very good job at displaying reality through these characters and these themes, and I think that we can learn a whole lot from them.
For sure, for sure. I could learn a whole lot from the University of Wakanda. Are they giving out scholarships? I need one. Rest in peace to King T'Challa. But
Right.
would the next Black Panther please hook a brother up? I'll be in school every day, Sundays included. Yo, that shirt is fly, but your t-shirt game is always on point, bro, man. I
Man,
just want to say.
thank you.
In this part of the episode, something else that I noticed is that all through the series, particularly in the beginning, but it was really, really pronounced in this episode how jittery or how kind of like psychotic maybe John Walker was. When he was waiting, when he was waiting with Bucky and Battlestar while Sam was having a conversation with Carly Morgenthau, how he had that, he has that twitch. And it always makes me think to myself, oh boy, here we go with the crazy excuse again. We got another crazy white man. That's a superhero. That's going to explain away his actions by his craziness. And that's just the vibe that I kept getting from the very beginning when I first noticed that about John Walker. He's a little bit jittery. And I wonder, because he is, after all, military personnel before he, becomes Captain America or before, he's given that mantle or job. And it always makes me wonder if other folks who are, who have served in the military and been in some kind of combat, are they affected in that kind of way? Like, does everybody who go to fight have some amount of PTSD? And if so, for me, that's very concerning because it means we living in a country with a whole bunch of crazy people who know who are trained killers. Did you happen to notice that?
Oh yeah. He is a war vet. I have people in my family that served in the military. I got a friend of mine who served in the war after 9/11. And they definitely suffer from PTSD and trauma. So, I think that was done on purpose, like to show how he was, and we haven't got to that scene yet. But I think I'm gonna touch on that after we get to this one scene later on. You know what I mean? But yeah, the anxiety, the anxiousness, of him just wanting to do things, and yeah, I think it all is a side effect, a byproduct of his time in the war.
Another thing that stuck out to me about this particular part of the episode is when John Walker, gave his little quick thoughts on the fact that Bucky Barnes had all that super soldier serum running through his body. it kind of reminded me of the beef that the United States had with Russia. Because, the Winter Soldier was like a Russian operative up in Siberia. And John Walker is Captain America. America versus Russia. And it seemed like, at least at that point, that John Walker was a little bit jealous that he wasn't as much of a man as Bucky. That he didn't have that super soldier serum also.
Yeah.
Did you peep that out?
Yeah, man. He throughout the whole thing, man. He didn't show his own little insecurities about things. So that was all. That to me, that's all part of who he is. His whole ego and identity and character.
Interesting. So right after Sam and Carly have their conversation is when John Walker finally says, "Okay, fuck it, I've had enough," and he goes to arrest Carly Morgenthau, and she just basically kicks his ass, even though he got a vibranium shield. This was a very interesting part because what we came to find out is that this was really a setup. They really was trying to separate all of these folks from each other so that they could kill Captain America, if I'm not mistaken. Do you recall that?
I can't remember right now, man. Oh yeah, well, wait. Did we pass something?
Nah. Actually, I kind of bounced around a little bit, but this is the part where Zemo got handcuffed to like in the boiler room.
Yeah.
And then John Walker finally got fed up and he went to go arrest Carly Morgenthau.
Okay.
Right as her and Sam was having a conversation. And this is the part where she kicks she ain't really beat him up, but she knocked Sam and John Walker over and ran. Remember, she jumped jumped up on the stairs, and then Winter Soldier ran behind her. And this is what I was saying, that this was their plan to separate them because they had intentions on killing John Walker.
Okay,
I think that's probably what, if I wasn't mistaken, I think that could have been why she went back for the super soldier serum. But this is that part of the episode leading into the fight scene where Zemo actually he actually escapes the handcuffs out of the boiler room, and he runs into Carly before anybody else does, and he shoots her. And as a result of her getting shot, she drops the vials of super soldier serum, and Zemo crushed them all because it's his MO that he doesn't like super soldiers or the idea of them because they are supremacists inherently, so he says. But this is, did you notice anything about what was happening during this point in regard what we're leading is based the showdown where Battlestar gets his ass handed to him?
Nah, I didn't notice anything. Weird and shit. I do remember that one when John Walker, he busted in and hit man with over in the head with the shield, the Zemo with the shield, hit him with the head with the shield, knocked him out. Yeah,
Yeah, after Zemo shot Carly, she was
yeah.
able to get away because and this was just a wild sequence of events. This is an action part, not really a whole lot of dialogue. But yeah, he knocks Zemo out with the shield. Carly gets up and runs. She's shot. And this is when your boy finds the last vial of super soldier serum.
Yeah, yep, yep.
And a monster is born. So basically, this is just the action part of this episode. And I think Falcon is the next person on the scene. And by that time, John Walker done cuffed the super soldier serum that he done found because he gonna take it. You know, it's like crack. You gotta try it. And he lets Falcon know that he didn't find Carly. She got away. And immediately after that, we go into Carly having an exchange. She does get away. And I believe this is the part where they plan to separate them and kill them and try to kill John Walker.
Okay, yeah.
And the same guy who went with her to pick up the super soldier serum is who she's having a conversation with at this point. It's not really much but action going on at this scene. At this point in the episode.
Yeah, that's about.
Go ahead.
And that's about it. Yeah, it was just action. It was just a lot of action and stuff like that, and them plotting to get rid of John Walker, you know, and I believe she had even called. She found out Sam Wilson has a sister, called her up, and I mean made her give her and sent her a message to have her send to Sam Wilson.
Yeah, I completely forgot all that part. That's that's doing what you got to do by any means necessary. Like I said earlier, but I don't think she ever had any intentions of doing anything to Sam's sister and his family.
Nope.
I think that was just a way to get him to show up, so that they would be able to carry out their plan. Because obviously, when Sam showed up to speak with Carly this time, he had the new Captain America and Battlestar in tow. So if they're trying to kill this guy, then if she does what she did, which is call his sister to set up another meeting, then they'll come again, and that'll be their opportunity, to do what they're trying to do. But by that point, it's too late. He done got that blue crack, that super soldier serum. And
now, wait. It's a whole scene we skipped over, man.
What scene is that?
The scene in the hotel when I forgot where it started at, but I think it was the fight scene with Dora Milaje.
Yeah, you right. I think that's the part where when Sam and Sharon got back in contact with each other.
I believe so.
And this is when this is why I was talking about the satellite earlier, because I think Sam was trying to keep track of either Carly and them or John Walker. I don't recall. It's been some time since I've seen the episode. A lot of this I'm just really recalling from memory. But yeah, I remember this was a very good scene too, because this is when Bucky got his arm knocked off by his black girlfriend. She put them short enough moves on his ass. But I was like, yo, that's crazy. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, when AO and Bucky met in the alley, she let him know, yo, you got 8 hours to turn Zemo in or we coming to get him. And subsequently, during the fight, Zemo got away.
Mm-hmm.
But I think later on they end up catching him anyway.
Yeah.
But the fight scene was crazy. This was another action scene. It didn't really have a whole lot of dialogue in there. But Sam, Bucky, and Zemo is back at the safe house. And the 8 hours is now up. So the Dora Milaje show up. And John Walker and Battlestar is also there. And as a matter of fact, the Dora Milaje, who are not super soldiers, kick John Walker's ass. And he feels some kind of way about it because he comments they weren't even super soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right then at that point is when he decided to take the serum. What you think?
Man, that whole scene
because remember he did talk to Battlestar about taking it. He gave him a hypothetical. If you had the opportunity, would you take it?
Yeah, that was after the fight. That was after the fight. That was after the fight scene.
Well, they showed it to us after the fight scene,
yeah,
but I think it took place before the fight scene actually happened.
I'm not sure what are you talking about?
I might be misunderstanding, but continue.
Okay. Now what I'm saying is that I don't think John Walker got the serum. He didn't find the serum until after the fight scene. But you know what? Let me just go back. Let me talk. You might chop this up.
He found the super soldier serum when Zemo shot Carly.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I don't know if that was before this Wakandan scene or not.
Oh, okay.
Remember when I said earlier in this broadcast that like, did you skip something? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, because I think a lot of this stuff happened after the Wakandan scene. The Wakandan scene was kind of early in this episode. But when the Dora Milaje showed up, like I said, I always love when Wakanda shows up. You know, they always represent. They're always noble. They're always, you know what I mean, formidable. So they showed up and you know, AO had her own. She had to check. You know what I'm saying? John Walker and said the Dora Milaje has jurisdiction wherever the Dora Milaje find themselves. You know what I mean? That's sovereignty right there. You know, that's power. And they can back it up. You know, and like you said, whatever, they kick everybody's ass in that scene. And it shows how, you know what I mean, how just how formidable, you know, the Wakandans, the Dora Milaje are. You know what I mean? Even though they gave Bucky Barnes a vibranium arm, you know what I mean, they gave him a better cybernetic arm. They still held the keys to how this armor in that sense. When she did that kung fu martial art move up on his arm, that 12-point, you know, martial art.
She hit her with the famous 52 hand blocks off the block. You know she a sister for real. But that fight scene, you know, I'm glad you reminded me of it. I don't know how I forgot it, because that was like one of the best fight scenes in the entire series.
Yeah.
You know, the Dora Milaje rolled up in there and just they whipped everybody ass.
Word. And like you said, when the fight scene was over, you know, John Walker, like you said, it's his feelings were hurt. His ego was bruised. They were even super soldiers, he said. You know, and then after that, you know, they had he had a talk. You know what I mean, at some restaurant, some bar somewhere like that. With Lamar Hoskins, and he asked Lamar if he had a chance to take the super soldier serum, would he take it? And Lamar said, hell yeah. And you know, Lamar is, and I mean, and he asked him, you know what I mean? And Lamar even said, I think this makes you more of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
Lamar,
is a callback to Captain America, the first Avenger.
yeah,
You know,
yep.
what the doctor said to Steve Rogers. If you're a good man, it makes you an even better man. If you're a bad man, it makes you a worse man.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting. And right after this conversation is, I think, when Carly actually got in contact with Sam Wilson's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And the sister contacted Sam, and then Sam got in motion, let her know, you know, pack your shit, go over here. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. I think that's when this, I kind of bounced all over the place, you know, in talking about this episode, but this was one of the better episodes to me because it had a lot of action in it, a lot of different Marvel characters. What did you have that same impression?
Oh, yeah, man. This was one. I believe this might be my best, my favorite episode.
For me, it's a toss up between this episode and episode 1 because I think these two episodes had the best fight scenes in it. You know, the first one, when the first episode came out, I was like super hyped. I was like, oh, all the episodes gonna be like this? Oh, it's on. But after Carly Morgenthau contacted Sam Wilson's sister, this is the plan that I was speaking about that the Flag Smashers concocted to separate the four of these guys: Sam Wilson, Bucky, Battlestar, Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar, and Captain America. Now, keep in mind, he just had the conversation with Battlestar about taking the super soldier serum that he found after Carly got shot. And I believe this is when he actually took it, because we going into the third hottest fight scene, and this is when Lamar Hoskins gets killed. And I found it ironic. You know, we always the first motherfuckers to die in the movie, and I was kind of hoping that they was going to, you know, develop his character a little bit more and have him, you know, have more black characters in the Marvel universe. But unfortunately, it didn't go down that way. And in this particular action sequence, towards the end of the episode, we find Sam Wilson and Bucky again meeting up with Carly Morgenthau again on some diplomatic type shit. And we have Battlestar and John Walker doing what they've been doing the entire series up till now, which is, you know, following behind Bucky and Sam Wilson. And what ensues is a huge fight scene, which is just pure action. And we find here that what ends up happening is John Walker and Battlestar get separated, which is what the intent was. And they basically use Lamar Hoskins like as bait. You know, they knock him out, put him in a room, and then they go after John Walker. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson and Bucky is, you know, also on scene too. And this is when we find out that John Walker actually took the super soldier serum when he threw the shield and it got lodged in the wall. At this point, I said to myself, yeah, he took it, because I was wondering if he was, although I kind of knew that he would, based on what transpired between him and Bucky in the boiler room and the fact that the Dora Milaje kicked his ass. And you have anything to share on this particular action sequence?
Yeah, man. And I mean, I want to piggyback on what you said about Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar. You know, low key Battlestar was like one of my favorite characters growing up. even though he didn't have no run at all, but for some reason, you know what I mean, I like this character in a comic book. Matter of fact, I drew him when I was little, when I was young, when I was a young boy, and I couldn't find a drawing to bring to this episode today. But in the comic book, you know, the power, John Walker and Battlestar got the super soldier serum in a sense, through the power broker, and but and say and how can I say this? He was so he had a longer run in the comic book than in this series. He didn't die, but he was captured at some point by the power broker, and he got his powers taken back from him. So yeah, but overall, man, like I was I'm very disappointed that they killed off Battlestar so early, or at all, to tell you the truth. So, but yeah, man, in the comic book, they both had, John Walker and Battlestar had a super soldier serum, and it's kind of disappointing that not even that he didn't even get a chance to be enhanced like John Walker was.
Yeah, and this basically brings us to the conclusion of the episode, because at the conclusion of this fight scene, what happens is Battlestar, like I said, him and John Walker got separated during this exchange, or during this ordeal rather, and he was zip tied and put like in a bathroom or something, or some room off to by himself, where he ended up regaining consciousness and getting away.
Mm-hmm.
And he quickly found where all of the fighting was going down. And by this time, John Walker had already, or Sam has already noticed something different about John Walker when he bent the pole, when he was fighting the super soldier, and he actually beat the super soldier up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Sam Wilson at that point understood, something is different about this guy. I just don't think that he knew. I don't think anybody knew that he had a vial of super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
But subsequently, what happens is, this is when Battlestar gets killed. Mm-hmm. He runs in to save the day, or help his friends out. Mm-hmm. And Carly Morgenthau punches him so hard that she knocks him into a column and breaks the column and kills him with one punch. She kind of reminded me of One Punch Man at that point. But again, I it saddened me, because I figured that this wouldn't be one of the characters, especially because I mean, it's not written like this in the comics. If I'm not mistaken, in the comics, it's John Walker's parents who get killed. That set him off. But in the MCU, they made Battlestar the death that Battlestar's death, the death that set John Walker off, because the same guy who we see with Carly Morgenthau way back in the earlier part of the episode at the grave site where they went to go pick up the super soldier serum from, is the same guy that John Walker ends up killing in public, and everybody standing around with their camera phones, which reminded me of how people are today. They actually standing around with their camera phones, watching, streaming, recording, but not helping.
Mm-hmm.
And like you always say, Marvel does do a pretty good job at depicting, how people behave in the regular society through their media. And for the very first time in MCU history, we see blood on the shield of Captain America. So that is what concludes this particular episode. Did you have any thoughts about what happened?
Yeah,
I got further thoughts. What happened to Lamar and what it caused John Walker to do? And
Yeah.
how does that tie into his character in the comic books?
The only thing I remember is that, like I said, is that the power broker, whose name is Curtis Jackson, in the comic book, two S's.
Is 50 coming out the stereo?
Yeah, it'd be dope if they made him the power broker. That would be a dope.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
And 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Would have been the power broker in Marvel MCU.
Yeah, it would have been real dope because his real name is Curtis Jackson. If you anybody who's a Marvel head then knows that the power broker's name is Curtis Jackson, two S's. It's a white dude, but his name is Curtis Jackson. But to talk to back on topic of Battlestar 9 and John Walker being enraged about that and riding out for his friend Lamar Hoskins. I mean, I thought that was cool that he had that much love for him. You know what I'm saying? That's in the scene where he killed the person who didn't kill Lamar Hoskins, because it was Carly Morgenthau who killed him. But John Walker, you know what I mean, he saw them as all guilty and as accomplices to his friend's murder. So when he did that, so in that murder scene where he used a shield to bludgeon that flag smasher to death on that step in front of everyone, while everybody was recording him on the camera phones. No one knows what happened. All they see is the end result, you know. And I think when people don't have the full context of what was going on, then they make a prejudgment on something. And anytime you make a prejudgment on things, it's a lot of times it's incorrect. But it does remind me of the scene on Black Panther, when Black Panther was about to kill Claw in Korea, I believe it was, in front of everyone. And you can imagine if Black Panther killed Ulysses Claw in front of everyone, how the world would have seen Black Panther.
Yeah, Marvel does have a tendency to do that with their movies, is they keep the same themes running throughout the movie. So that's an example right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing, like I said, you know, I have a tendency to look at things from a historical perspective. And another thing that this particular scene reminded me of is how, you know, America as a country just goes around the world throwing around its weight, you know, and just killing people, you know, who may justly deserve it, but sometimes it may come off as, you know, America is the bad guy because we don't have all the facts. But they're not very transparent with all the facts, so, you know, kind of makes you suspicious.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here on this episode, bro?
No, man. I'll just say if anyone from Marvel, anyone in Marvel ever watches this or sees this or whatever, make sure that you put some fight scenes like the one you had in the episode 4 of Falcon and Winter Soldier with the Wakandans in it. Do that often as possible, you know, because that fight scene. That fight scene.
Yeah, I got to find out. No, I'm not a stalker or nothing, but she is fine, even with the bald head. She fine as hell to me. It's just she just got this energy, man, like a cat, like she'll scratch you like rah. But yeah, AO is my Marvel crush. Yeah, I think I'm in love, and that's kind of odd to hear from Top. I'm just playing, but again, this is probably this is one of 2 of my favorite episodes out of the entire series. I really wasn't feeling episode 2 or 3 so much, But episode 4 had a lot of action. I was glad that they got back to more action in it. But you know, the story has to play along how it has to play along. So, you know, all of the other stuff that we saw in episode 2 and 3 were necessary. But I appreciate you coming through again for another episode. I look forward to us doing episode number 5 and number 6. We'll be concluding this. And also, we're going to be doing episodes covering Loki. Now, just to talk about Loki briefly, it kind of reminds me of WandaVision. It's more of a mind trip to me because of the concept of time and how they are playing it out on the series. But the first episode was it was okay. It was okay. I would probably give it like 3 out of 5 stars, but we'll get into it when we actually cover that episode because what I would like to do is to catch up. So we might end up covering episode 1 and 2 at the same time. But we haven't seen episode 2 until this Wednesday. So yeah, we'll probably cover them both and then we'll be up to speed. Because like WandaVision, Loki is like 9 episodes and they already got a confirmed season 2. So yeah, this is really get ready to be trippy rather. But what I like about this particular series is that it actually gives us some background information on the multiverse idea and how it works in Marvel, in the Marvel universe. So from that point of view, that's what I'm really interested in because I can't wait for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness to come out next year because that's going to be my birthday present to myself. One of them anyway. And then right after that, Wakanda Forever, baby.
There you go.
You know, so I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of this year. Black Widow will be out soon. I think you can already buy pre-buy tickets. I don't think I'm going to watch it in the movies. I don't trust people, and plus I don't feel like wearing no mask. I'm gonna watch it in the privacy and the comfort of my home, where I could drink my liquor and smoke my bud and rewind it if I miss a part because I had to get up and go to the bathroom. I'm really looking forward to it. What about you, man?
Most definitely, man. Like I'm taking my daughter to check that out at the movie theaters, man. I know here, you know, masks being worn in the movie theater. So yeah, I'm checking out the movie theaters on the day it come out, probably.
Indeed. Just be safe. Ever since that guy showed up as the Joker and shot everybody in the Batman movie, I've been a little hesitant to go sit up in the movies, you know. Because I don't know how he got his weapons in there, but it's hard to go up in there the regular way with your weapons, even if they registered.
Yeah.
And I don't know about where you live, but where I live at, the police be at the movie theater because, you know, sometimes the youngins, the little high school kids get a little rambunctious on the weekends. And, you know, you have to have an authority figure there to get them to act right. But again, thanks again for joining me. This has been episode number 4 of Marvelous Studios featuring Mr. Briyan Wryter covering the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Episode 4, The World is Watching, which is a poignant name for the poignant title for this episode. Check out Mr. Briyan Wryter. His Instagram link is in the video description below. You can check out both of my Instagram pages. That's the Incredible T.O.P and the Top Cast Instagram page. Don't forget to catch episodes of the Top Cast on Anchor or your favorite podcast outlet when you at work or you're in your car. If you haven't, subscribe to my YouTube channel, bring a friend, and tell your auntie I said hi. I'm going to check out the sundress this summer. Until next time, peace, y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.